Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and here today in this video, we are going to be talking the latest episode of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. So, Vic.
Yes, sir.
Let's break it down.
Here we go. All right, guys. So in this episode of The Bad Batch, we find our boys heading to Raxus. Now, if you remember from the original first two movies, the Republic was in a battle with the Separatist Union, and Raxus was kind of like the center of the Separatist movement. Like that's where they all came from. That was their Separatist government was located on Raxus, and we saw a lot of the Raxus in the Clone Wars movie, as well as the Clone Wars cartoon as well. There was a couple episodes based around that. So on Raxus, the Empire has completely taken over. They've invaded Raxus, and they are setting down their laws. You know, they've put a curfew in place. They're telling them how they're basically going to conform to the Empire's rule is basically what it comes down to. And all of the other senators of Raxus were like, no, we're not doing that. Screw you guys, go home. And the Empire was like, fine, and we'll just put you in jail. And that'll solve that problem. But they had one senator who kind of relented, and his name is Avi Singh, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll do this for the people. And then he got up there, and the Imperial officer is like, and your Senator Avi Singh is here to tell you to do what we say. And he walks up and he's like, during these times, we need to... fuck this, I ain't doing it. No, the Empire suck. We're not doing it. We are free people. We didn't relent to the Republic. We're not going to relent to the Empire. Don't listen to what they say. And a small dispute opens up between the Imperial Guards, being the clone troopers, and the people of Raxus, who are all like, no, we're not going to do this. Yay, the senator stood up for us, and he gets arrested.
Yeah, saw that coming.
As he's just before he started talking to his people, he was like, hey, his protocol droid, GS8, he says, hey, I need you to enact Protocol 1 if they take me, and, make sure that
Order
happens.
66.
Yeah, and she's like, okay, I'll make sure it happens. And he gets arrested, and she takes off as that's going on, so she escapes. Now, what he was referring to was, if they take me, get somebody to come save me, please. So GS8 hires Sid to get a mercenary squad to come and break out Avi from Imperial jail. And of course, that's our boys, the Bad Batch. And she's like, hey, I got a job for you. And Hunter's like, all right, cool. I need to make some money. And she's like, here it is. You're going to Raxus. You got to go save Avi Singh. He's the senator from the Separatist government. And he's like, hold on. I'm a clone. You remember that, right? Like, we spent our existence, we were created to fight these people, not save them. I'm not doing it. And she's like, look, you owe me money. Like, until your shit's clear, you're going to do what I say. Because
I thought after last week's, or the last mission that they did, that they were pretty much paid off.
No, remember they were trying to get the money to get paid off when they
No, I know.
They collected they collected all of that equipment to try to get the money back when they were on not Scarif. I keep the Scrapper planet. I keep calling it Scarif. It is not Scarif. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, because they used all of the demolitions and stuff, they didn't have enough money to actually complete the mission. They didn't complete the mission. They literally have not completed, but like maybe one mission for her. Is it 2?
Yeah, because they did that in this episode, and they did,
but at that point, they'd only completed one
Rancor.
mission. They got the Rancor mod. That was it. They got the baby Rancor. That's the only mission they've completed so far. Every other one they failed.
That we know of.
Yeah.
But it's implied in previous episodes that they've been.
Let's put it this way: 6 episodes in that we've seen, they've completed one mission.
They're not really that good.
No, their rate is not well. But so he's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. He's like, but I am not taking Omega to that planet. I know that planet. I know how dangerous it can be. We're not doing it. She's staying here with you. And she's not happy about it. Omega is like, I am part of this team. You can't bench me. He's like, no, you're benched. If you don't stop crying about it, you'll be off the team. And she's like, okay, fine.
You're 9. You're 9. You're staying home.
It's like, actually, technically, I think she's like closer to 12 or 13. But anyway, she's like, I can go. It's not fair that you're not letting me go. And he's like, look, I don't want you to be out there. We don't know what we're getting into. We're dealing with...
Do they ever?
But in this case, I understand his reluctance because they're dealing with the separatists that he doesn't like. The last he saw, there were a ton of robots that were trying to kill them, and there were people there that absolutely hated anything to do with the clones. So he's used to dealing with them in a war situation. He doesn't know how they're going to react when he shows up on that planet. So, he's wanting to keep her safe, and that's understandable considering he just got her back from being kidnapped by a freaking bounty hunter. So, I mean, I get it. So they take off.
So she stays there, and we'll get back to her in a second.
Yeah.
Because the episode ends with her. So let's follow the guys.
She's kind of the talking point for this episode also. So we'll get through the story and we'll go back and talk a little deeper into her storyline during this. So they get to Raxus. There's a couple of interesting things that I noticed. And this is kind of a filler episode, but it's got a good amount of action in it. But to me, it had a lot more. There were some things in there that I noticed that I'm interested to see if you picked up as well. So they get there and they start heading into. They meet up with GS8, and they're like, "You're our contact," and of course, like the first thing he runs into is a droid, and he's like, "God damn it! I knew this was gonna happen. We're gonna get betrayed. I know this is what's going on." But she's like, "No, I need you to help me. We have to get into the palace, into Avi's mansion, and save him because that's where the Empire is set up." And what's interesting is the Empire always tends to take over a city and then they move into the most opulent building in the city. So they always end up taking over like someone's mansion and working out of there.
Yeah, and the people that got kicked out know how to get back in.
Right. It's like, this is a bad idea. Don't do that. They know all the secrets. So they get in, this is where you see the difference between the Bad Batch and the everyday clone trooper. The Bad Batch are some stealthy MFers. Like, they did not want to be seen. They were not seen. But the thing that caught my attention the most is, did you notice they were using all stun blasters? They had all of their blasters set to stun. They did not want to kill any of their brothers. Like, everyone that they shot.
How would I have known that?
So if you fire a blaster, it comes out with a red beam, and that's what kills people. If you use the stun setting, it fires out a blue circle that hits them and kind of tases them, and they just fall over.
I did notice that.
So they stunned all of the clone troopers. They didn't kill one of them. And I feel like it's because, like, at this point, they realize and know that their brothers are not responsible for what they're doing. That inhibitor chip has them acting the way they're acting. And if it wasn't for that, they would probably still be on the same side, and they would be working to save the people as opposed to hurt them, like the Empire has them doing. So I feel like they're just wanting to save as many of them as they can, so that when this is over, they can at least have the inhibitor chips removed so that they can be normal clones and not the jackasses that they're being now. So catch. They knock out all of the clone troopers. They get to sing. They escape in an AT-TE, which is the six-legged walking AT-ATs that they had during the Clone Wars. That's the precursor
and the
of
slowest ones in the face.
Well, I mean, the AT-ATs aren't real fast either. So,
but these are like the sloths.
They're like they look like turtles. They always remind me of turtle. I call them turtle walkers because they look like turtles. Where and they're kind of plodding along, and the Empire were using them for crowd control at the beginning of the episode. When the riot kind of started, they walked 3 of those things in there, and everybody's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go home and abide by the curfew because I don't want to get stepped on by that or shot by that, because it's got a gigantic freaking cannon on its head and an even bigger cannon on its back. So let's go home. And they steal one of those to make their escape, which is, like you said, the slowest slowest chase ever. And they're slowly plodding their way through the city, and Sing's like, make a right here, and he's like, we're gonna get bottled in. He's like, that's fine, just do it. And again, listen to the guy who's lived there and runs that city. He knows what's going on. And as they start to make their escape, which I thought was really cool, like when I didn't notice this, but when they stop those things, then they put them in park, they lower down and kind of sit like a dog, which I thought was cool. And he's like, press up against that wall, and he opens the door, and he's like, all right, put a charge right there. They close the door, boom, and there's a tunnel behind there that he knows about. I was like, that's fucking awesome. And it was right at the same time that they escaped that the Empire caught up to them, fired a volley on them, and blew up the ATTE, which I thought was like, man, this perfect time. Like everything about this episode, like visually, like the way that they told the story, the way that they handled the engagements, like everything was on point on this episode. I really like this episode, if you can't tell. But they escape into the sewers, as always. Everyone escapes to the sewers. In New Hope, sewer. In Mandalorian, sewer. This sewer. The sewers are always the escape point.
What if that would work in real life?
What do you mean?
Just, whenever you're in, you need to escape from somebody, just jump in a sewer.
But you would think it would, but at some point, those sewers have very small pipes that you can't get through. Mm-hmm. Because they need to build up pressure at points, and I know I wouldn't fit through some of those drainage pipes, so I'm not going in the sewer.
I just wouldn't want to go down there in the first place.
Plus,
so that's just me.
Have you ever seen the movie Chud? Not going in a sewer.
Yes. I've also seen Ghostbusters 2.
Right. Not happening. We're not doing that. Anyway, so they escape through the sewer. They save him, and as they get back to their ship, they're like, we have to go. He's like, I can't leave my people. And you kind of get to see that the Separatists were really, even though they were the quote unquote bad guys in the first two episodes, so throughout the first three movies of Star Wars, they were supposed to be the bad guys. But you see that they're really just about not being oppressed by the Republic. And that's really what ends up being the whole rebellions thing, is like, we don't want to be repressed by the Empire. So it's like, so you guys were really with the Separatists. You now understand what the Separatists were trying to do, because now you're having to go through the same process with the Empire. So like, it was a good like dichotomy there. But they finally talk him into the fact that like, dude, you need to run away now so you can come back and save them later. It's the same thing that they did with Princess Amidala. And they're like, look, you have to leave now, because if you get captured, then what are your people going to do? They have no leadership. They've already captured and probably killed all of the others. There is some serious background noise coming in from you.
That's probably from my AC.
Okay. It seems to have stopped somewhat. But yeah, with her, it's just the same thing. They're like, hey, if you get captured, there's no leadership for your people, and then what are you going to do? And he's like, okay, let's go. And he takes off to go back to Sid's place. And I guess he's going back to Sid's place. I don't know what he's going to do there at that point, because there's no true rebellion quite set up and that they're involved with. So I'm guessing they're just going to take him back there and hide him.
Yeah, I mean, when they get back there, she's like, Sid's like, come up back, we'll talk payment. So what happens after that, we've got no clue.
Right.
My guess is that we may not have heard the last of him. Maybe he concocts something to get the rest of those leaders freed, the ones that were in prison, and they they do something from there. I doubt we've heard the last of this.
Well, I know when there was an episode, I almost forgot because I meant to bring this up, when you first see Sing being kind of interrogated by the Empire. They had one of the interrogation droids in there, the same ones that we saw in New Hope, when Vader comes in to try to extract the information from Leia. That's kind of the first time. This would be one of the first times we've seen that thing in action prior to New Hope. So you can see, like, even though the Empire is new, they're already starting to produce things to enforce their will, and that basically torture droid was there to enact their will at that point. So the B storyline for this episode has to do with Omega. Like we talked about earlier, they left Omega with Sid to babysit, and she's like, "I'm not a baby, I'm one of you." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we get it, but you also have to understand where Hunter's coming from." And she finally relents and says, "Okay, I'll stay here with Sid." And Sid is treating her like she is like the secondhand fucking help. She's like, here's something you can do, and she hands her a sponge. She's like, clean that countertop. I'm like, damn, dude. Like, okay, so that's fine, but how much are you paying me an hour? That needs to go towards our debt.
Yeah,
that's what Omega beginning. But Omega was thinking like 2 steps ahead, as always. As I discussed before, like, she is super smart. Like, you can tell instantaneously that like there's something more about her. And the more that I watch this, the more the episodes come about, I'm still not convinced that she's not force sensitive, but I think it's actually more that she is just super, super, super smart, and kind of like intuitive to what's going on around her at all times. So she is like always situationally aware. Like, she knows what's happening out of the corner of her eye at all times. And as she's sitting there, Sid is playing against Dejarik, which is the Star Wars version of chess. We saw that in A New Hope in the first episode, where C-3PO was playing Dejarik with Chewbacca, and they're just little alien monsters, and they fight each other, and it's chess basically. And Sid is playing against Norm and Cliff. And they're both trying to play her, and they're losing ridiculously. And they were winning. No, they were winning. And then Omega steps in, and she's like, "Do this," and she's like, "Why would I do that?" She's like, "Just do it." And Sid does it, and she wins. And apparently Sid was playing them for money, so she's just taking their money left and right, which is about right for Cheers. That's usually how they end up. And she's like, "You know how to play this?" She's like, "Well, it's easy." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And right then I was like, maybe she's not force sensitive. Maybe it's just the fact that she's fucking Jango Fett's clone. Like, and the fact that she's Jango Fett's clone gives her like this tactical mind and this tactical ability to kind of think ahead of everybody. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but Jango Fett is like one of the only people outside of a couple others that defeats Jedi with no like force ability at all. Like, he's killed Jedi left and right, and until Mace Windu ended him, he had a pretty good stack of Jedi under his belt. So the fact that like she's just able to outthink everybody, it may just be that because she is Boba's sister and has that same kind of mind, that's why Boba Fett ends up being like the best bounty hunter in existence, is because he's got his father's ability to think and reason and tactics and that kind of thing. I think that's really what it's coming from, though I'm still not giving up on her being force sensitive, by the way. But I think that I think her pure like Jango Fett like cloning, like being the second, because if she's Omega, Boba Fett is Alpha, she's Omega, then she's like the second version of him. She's like the cleanest copy. She's the 4K copy of Jango Fett, and because of that, she has like just this uncanny ability.
Which makes the Bad Batch the DVD version.
Right, exactly. But still better than, the VHS version, the multi-copied VHS version that all of the other clones are. You know what I mean? To put it in simple terms. But she's talking to Sid, and she's like, "Hey," she's like, "You want to make some money, kid?" And she's like, "We can, if you're that good at this game, let's play it. And let's make some money." And she's like, "Okay, I guess." And I was like, "Now you're using the kid. You are the worst babysitter ever, Sid."
Hey, when they have a talent, you put it to use.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
We don't honestly know.
If the kid was good at playing baseball, you get him in playing baseball. It makes sense.
So when the Bad Batch show back up, well, actually, Cher and Sid come to an agreement, and Sid's like, okay. She's like, I'll split this. She's like, Omega's like, I'll do it, but what's in it for me? So right there, she's like, she's on it. She's like, I'm not gonna do this for free. You're gonna make me some money. So literally, Omega's got her hustle on, and she's like, yeah, how much? And she's like, 30%. She's like, 60. I'm doing all the work and the thinking. I'm gonna be making the mother load off of this baby. You get 40, I get 60. Are we doing this? And Sid's like, all right. And at the end of the episode, the boys walk in with Avi, and they're like, mission complete, give us our money. And she's like, okay. After I get my money from him, they head off to the back, and we find out that she's been rolling everybody there. And if by chance, like, Sid more than likely was like, take all comers. If you think you can beat this kid at Dejarik, then you can win all this money. So everybody there was probably showing up, and there was a room full of people. Like, Sid's was hopping because of this whole thing. And when they walk in, she's beating her last opponent, and we come to find out that Omega has literally made enough money to pay back all of their debt to Sid off of this 60-40 split that she had with her. So I don't know how many games she played, but she rolled the room apparently and got them squared with Sid, which, thank God, because that might mean we won't be in Sid's bar the next episode we see. If or nothing else. And if we are, at least now the guys will be making profit. You know what I mean?
They'll become the new norm at Cliff.
Just kind of hanging out. But yeah, so this episode for me, this was a really good episode. There was some really good the visuals in it were great. The storytelling in it was great. Like the little Easter eggs in there were great. It gave me some new perspective on what's going on with the boys as far as them, like what they're trying to accomplish, even if it's kind of subtle. The whole thing with the stunning of the clones instead of like killing them, which they've had no problems with doing with anybody else the entire episode, and that's the real contrast. Because when they were on the planet trying to get the droid's brain, the tactic droid, they were murdering robots and people alike. So it's not like they don't have a problem with doing it, but they were not doing it to their brothers in this episode. So really good episode. It left us with an open ending. We don't know where the episode is going to go at this point, because we don't have any idea what the story is going to be moving forward. They've got Omega back, and she's safe. They completed a mission finally, their second mission. They're paid off to Sid, so like the next upcoming episodes, they're free and clear of the crazy with her. With Sid, but we don't really know what's going on. And next episode's title is Devils in the Deal. So we'll see where it comes out to. But this episode, great.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I mean, to me, it was just a filler episode, but I mean, it was okay. It wasn't as boring as most fillers are, and seemingly pointless. So it was all right for me. That is going to end the video. We do want to let you know before we leave that we do our show live every 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch on Tuesdays. That's at twitch.tv/MillerKing_51. The details will be in the description of this video. And while you're there, while you're looking down there, if you just hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and leave some comments. Let us know what you think, and it would really help out the channel all in all. So, on behalf of Vic,
that's me.
I'm Corey. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.
See ya.